passione, ci siamo persi.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce you our guest speaker of Brain Bar, the third day. But how do I introduce Massimo? He doesn't need much of an introduction. He's a legend. He's a leader of contemporary Italian kitchen. His restaurant, located in his hometown Modena, has been named the world's best restaurant in 2016. This restaurant, Osteria Francescana, has been awarded 3 Michelin stars. But today, he is not here to speak about his restaurant. He is here because he has a soup kitchen. We will focus on some other exciting and very rewarding topics, such as his initiative, the Food for Soul community, food waste and food shortage, and how he sees the food culture evolve in the future. Please put your hands together and give a big warm welcome to Massimo Bottura.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. 32 minutes, 47 seconds.
Yeah, it's okay. We can even do it
Keep me short, because if I start talking,
No, you should definitely start talking, because that's why we are here. We are not here for me. We are here for you to talk. So after having had the privilege to taste your amazing degustation in your restaurant actually a month ago, obviously I wanted to ask you about your art-inspired dishes, your Renaissance shift, your creative process. But this is not our topic today. I was there in New York City when you talked about the most important ingredient for a chef is culture. It happened in the night when Osteria Francescana was named the #1 in the world. I think it was a very special night for you also. Could you elaborate it further for us, what culture means to you, what role culture plays in a chef's kitchen?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's all related by culture. Culture, knowledge, consciousness, sense of responsibility. So it's just one line. It's not that, if I didn't have Osteria Francescana, I could never imagine to create Food for Soul. Because in Osteria, if you ask me what we are doing every day, I say we compress into edible bites my passions. It's like art, music, food, memories, sitting on centuries of history, because Italian cuisine has centuries and centuries of history, filtered by a contemporary mind. So it's Osteria Francescana is like a Renaissance, store, laboratory, in which we create culture. We are on the side of agriculture, because we support our farmers, fishermen, cheesemakers, the artisans. They are really heroes at this point in Italy. And we are agent of tourism. First time in Modena we have tourism, you know, because even you know, we are the land of fast car and slow food, you know, but you know, even the people, they were coming to Modena, to the region, to just to go to Maranello and see the Ferrari and blah blah blah. They don't even stop in Modena. They go just from the highway Modena Sud and go up there. And so tourism and training, you know, because you know we have 2,000 CV in waiting list to come and practice in Osteria.
Is it possible to manage?
Enrico is doing that.
Okay.
with the team.
So it's not.
With the team in the office.
And how do you choose from your CVs? What are you looking for?
I'm not looking for CVs. I'm looking for passionate people. You know, they have you know, they really want to learn. They have a different vision. They have a sparkle in the eyes. You know, you know about Ed and the guy from north of England who came 19 years old, and he created the best tiramisu I ever tasted in my life. So it's not about curriculum. You know, I remember when I was working at Ferran, like El Bulli, like 20 years ago. We were together, you know, in the same moment. Me, René Redzepi, Gran Katz, and you know, we were all working there.
It was a very historical moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Very valuable kitchen.
Yeah, and you know, all around, there were like, you know, 20, 30, 40 stagiaires. They were there just because they sent it there, and they didn't understand anything about what was happening in that moment, in that kitchen, and they were all thinking about technique, but they didn't realize that the most important idea behind that moment was the freedom. We were breaking walls, the walls of, you know, how everything was created at that time, and how high-end cuisine was at that time, like French, classic, sauce, ingredients, blah, 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 butter and cream and butter and cream. And, you know, and in that moment, we were reflecting on how important was the emotional part of the food. And we were thinking, and I discussed this with Ferran many times, that the right sardines is much more interesting than a farm-raised lobster. Or like a Parmigiano Reggiano crust can transfer much more emotion than a very normal caviar, you know? It doesn't taste anything. So that's a very important point. But back to the Renaissance, you know, you see how I move my hands? We were talking about the robot that inside.
Yeah, for tonight there will be an amazing robot.
But these guys, they didn't even invent an
It's
Italian-style robot, you know. I said, of course, they don't have passion. Italians have passion. You know, here, I talk here. You know, 2 days ago I was in Berna, 3 in Zurich. Yesterday, like 20 hours in Modena. And then today I'm here, and this afternoon I'm going to be in Oslo. So it's all about passion. If you don't have passion, you're not going to do this kind of life. But back to the Renaissance store. So you have tourism, you have training, you have culture, agriculture, and at the end, you know, social. You know, once you realize everything in your life, it's time to give back. And, you know, but it's not that from one day to another you do that. It's something that grows in you day by day, and you realize what you can do and how you can use your spotlight, you know? We did that with the white cows, rescue all the white cows in the area of Modena.
Bianca Modena.
Yeah. with slow food, with a couple of great journalists. You know, now there are like 3 cheese companies. They make Parmigiano Reggiano as 300 years ago. With just the milk of the white cows that is extremely concentrated and intense. So you can age it for years. And, you know, that's a very important point. Second, you know, we realized that we were filming on the delta of the Po River, Il Ritorno, no? The comeback. And this park guard really approached us in a very aggressive way. And, you know, we were like, what's going on? Then we record him. And we realized this movie, and we went to Regione Emilia-Romagna, and we denounced the state of abandon of the park of the Po River. That was 2011. And, you know, the Regione Emilia-Romagna, after 1 year of discussion, invest 16.5 million to rebuild the whole, you know, park. And then the year after, there was like this big event in Modena, the earthquake, that really devastated the whole countryside. And so we realized a recipe, as I call the recipe as a social gesture, as Joseph Beuys was thinking when he was creating sculpture. Sculpture as social gesture, sculpture for everybody. So a recipe that helped the old compartment of Parmigiano Reggiano to sell 360,000 wheels of Parmigiano damaged by the earthquake. And then, you know, the universal exposition. You know, universal exposition. Such a big word, you know. It's like all over the world, all over, you know, there were like 150 states. They were like in Milan to show what was the future, what was for them feed the planet. I always thought feed the planet is not like, you know, I'm Christian, and, you know, I study when I was a kid, I reading the religion and things like that, and you know, one of the phrases that for me is very important is, man is not feeding by bread alone. You know, that means you need culture, you need beauty, you need so many things. You know, by bread alone, bread is the first stage, but, you know, the human being needs much more, you know.
Still, your book is about bread.
That's why, after I was dreaming about bread before the opening of London, and, you know, at 3 in the morning I wake up and I wrote, bread is gold. And, you know, in the morning I wake up and I call London and I said, I know how to call the refectory in London. It's going to be bread is gold. So just make a neon, and then the book, it came out like that, you know. But it's all about that, you know. It's not that creativity and, you know, it's our ideas or, you know, they come out just like that. You know, they come out because you live for this. You know, when I say that food is my passion, it's because I live to eat, you know. And, or like, I live to, first thing I do in the morning is I listen to my music. And our art is everywhere around me. And, you know, for me, it's like, it's normal. It's my passion. You know, when I say to, and I speak with my team in Osteria, I said, listen, are you tired? Are you kidding me, right? Because, you know, this is your passion. You're tired, you know, if you do that, you're tired of listening to your music. You're tired of, like, you know, it's not possible. It's like when you work and you get exposed at such a level, you know, you're never tired because you do what you have chosen to do. It's like playing soccer, or like come in the kitchen or listen to music. It's exactly the same thing. So it's one whole life that you live in 1 second, just like that, you know, full of intensity, emotion, everything is there, is compressed in there.
You always emphasize the importance of the teamwork and the team. And jumping back to this historical moment in Ferran Adria's kitchen, can you imagine that in another 30 years, from your kitchen, there will be other people around the world as acting as superheroes or big chefs?
But if you set the example, could be, you know, in a much different way. You know, that time we were all looking for evolving, looking for ourselves, what we could do, blah, blah, blah. But at the end, you know, we realized that we were really creating something incredible in the future. But we didn't know at that time, no? We were like just thinking and how to recreate this kind of example, how to put to distill, you know, the experience with Lydia Cristoni, my grandmother and my mom, Alain Ducasse, New York, and the experience of living in New York, Ferran Adrià in one bite, you know. It's not easy. But, you know, I was trying to realize that, you know. It's like when you eat and you know, there was the menu, the new menu, it's like, it's unbelievable. For me, it's like the best we ever did.
It is.
Because it's so mature. And you have, the first part is all about art. Then you have Autumn in New York, that is Billie Holiday. And was the experience in New York. And is maybe the key dish in which, you know, you move from one side to another. It's like writing an opera, you know. You have the overture, then you have the adagio, then you have the minuetto, then adagio, that, you know, the allegro and the grand finale. It's exactly the same thing. Build a menu and write down and put down a menu. It's a very difficult exercise. Because, you know, and I know it, because I travel all over the world, I get exposed to the best restaurant in the world, and sometimes, you get bored in the middle, you get here, you don't go anywhere, it's all up and down. And it's like, for me, it's like, you have to go like that, you know? And Autumn in New York is the key point in which you clean ideas and palette from everything you had before, and you start a new idea that is like 16th century Italy, filtered by contemporary mind. So you eat like hare blood and mallard and partridge and pigeon and woodcock, and you realize you're eating like crazy things, very classic, but so light and full of flavors. So it's like, because, you know, at one point, you see, oops, I dropped the lemon tart, beautiful psychedelic veal, the 5 different age Parmigiano, bolito not boiled, and you see everywhere are copying this. I said, okay, now I'm going to do a menu that is going to be very difficult to copy. You know, when you realize you have snails and hare and woodcock and partridge and pigeon and, you know, in the same menu. So that's how our brain. Then you break the border between sweet and savory, and you get back to emotions, you know, those kind of stuff.
Okay, jumping a little bit back to food waste. As personal development trainers like to say, awareness is the key to success. When we realize and honestly face our problems, the solution often just reveals itself as obvious. What do we need to be aware of when it comes to food waste?
That's a big problem, you know. Before I was mentioning confronting the Universal Exposition team, Feed the Planet. You know, all these states, they were asking me to be involved in many different directions, but most of the time, parties and dinner, and you know, it was not something that really interests me. You know, I'll do it all the time. And, you know, I said, you know, I would love, because that was 2014, I would love to answer to this question in my own way, if I can. And I was doing that, I was sharing that with a few friends in a conference, you know. I'm very tired of talking, you know, I just want to act. and show the world that we can act and we can make the difference. So, but no one was really listening in a deep way and find solution, because I need solutions, you know. And I knocked at the door of the church, and I said, listen, I have this idea. Would you help me? And Archbishop Scola said, thank you very much for your passion and for your energy. Come back in 1 week, you know. My original idea was recreate Miracolo a Milano, no? Miracle in Milan, the Verismo Italiano, no? The movie from 1950. And create this soup kitchen under the train station in Milan. But 1 week later, they called me back, and you know, I went back to Milan, and they said, that's perfect, we love to support you in this. But Pope Francis said, you know, from Rome, they said, from Rome, they said that a better idea would be bring light to the periphery. So periphery needs light. This is a very key moment in our history. There are so many migrants, Syria, Libya, coming up, staying like in a train station in Milan. We need light there. So they identified an old theater from 1930, abandoned since 15 years. And so we went there. We've seen this amazing place in architecture, abandoned. And he said, okay, let's do it here, in Quartiere Greco, the most neglected place in Milan, close to the refugee house. And we start doing that. I start sharing the idea with all my friends, the artists, designer, architects, and they all were really enthusiastic of what I was doing. And I had this idea of you know, sharing with Davide Rampello of like creating this place full of beauty, you know, because if you have to dream big. And you know, Leonardo da Vinci did a refettorio 500 years before, and I said, we're gonna do more beautiful than the one of Leonardo did. And you know, tanto dreaming doesn't cost anything, you know. So, but all the artists said, yes, we're gonna do it, and you know, they create amazing place. But the key point of Milan was 1 week before the opening, there was this, I was checking the book, and with all the names and the volunteers, and there were so many volunteers already there, and I said, listen, we already created this line of service as a classic soup kitchen. But as soon as we have this amazing, beautiful place, we have, you know, so many requests, and you know, what are we gonna do with this? Let's do what we know better: service. Buon appetito. Good evening. Welcome. In a moment in which everyone is building walls to protect his own, you know, garden, you know, we are breaking walls, and we are saying, welcome. Welcome to people. You know, it's what we do in the restaurant every day. And the volunteers, they're gonna serve. It's not gonna be a line in which people waiting for the, you know, classic soup kitchen. It's not about that. We are not feeding. It's not a charity project. It's a cultural project. And we want to feed people, but we want to, first of all, we want to fight waste. So how can we fight waste? Through the experience of the chefs. They know everything about beauty. So the best chef in the world, they're like really into this. Through the transferring our knowledge to the volunteers, and you know, to communicate. So you are part of this project right now, you know, to communicate to the world that 860 million people, they don't have anything to eat. We produce food for 12 billion people. We are 7. We waste 33% of the production. 33. 1 trillion of apple are wasted every year. So it's about producing more, feed the planet? No. It's about fighting waste. So fighting waste, how? Through the knowledge, through the beauty. Set the example for the future. Set the example for the new generation. So if you ask me to ask to your question that you did before, I said, yes, in Osteria Francescana right now, there are, a future generation of chefs. They're gonna put ethic close to the aesthetic part of the job. So it's not more about aesthetic. Aesthetic, yes, of course it's important, especially when you reach that level, but it's not just about that. It's not beauty at all if you don't have an ethic way and an ethic approach to food. If you get your, farmers, fishermen for the neck and, ask about how much it is or whatever, ask about quality. Ask about what they can do for you, not what, And, this is the real approach that we did. And what people think is waste, we realize that these are just normal ingredients, ordinary ingredients that is going to waste every day, and it's just insane. So what we did, we just set an example, but we didn't know where to go. We jumped, and we jumped without any net under us, and we were lucky there was water, so we didn't die.
So fighting against food waste is also a way to fight against social isolation?
Yeah, but we didn't realize that in the beginning. We were there, to create our own experience at the Universal Exposition. And we didn't realize that we could really become the main idea behind the Universal Exposition in 2015, But the things that really impressed us the most was that, because in the beginning, people, they were coming in and they didn't know what to expect. Most of the people, they didn't speak one word of English or, Italian. They just walk in very shy with their eyes looking at the floor. And, but step by step, we broke that walls. And we went into, we tried to get into their art. And, after 10 days, a couple of weeks, they start warming up everything. There was this guy from Senegal with his guitars. He was playing at the end of the meal for everybody. Or, actually, they became also gastronomic critics, and they start complaining about soups. Come on, chef, you serve always the soup. We want pasta. And I said, all right, we're gonna make pasta. And
meat is slightly overcooked.
That was the moment, the key point. The key point was the service, in which we start. We serve them as in a restaurant after beauty, and we realized that through beauty we could rebuild the dignity of the people. Beauty is for everybody. It's not for the rich, just for the rich. Of course, the rich can really help us, and they do, but the point is really. The human aspect of this job, of this example was unbelievable.
Just to play the devil's advocate, there is a proverb saying, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. What do you think about this?
No,
can we really help with cooking food for a handful of poor people?
No, I totally agree. And that after Milan, I didn't realize what we were doing at that moment, you know, and how big was the impact. But one morning, like was 5:30 in the morning, I received a WhatsApp from the mayor of Rio de Janeiro, and was December, and you know, it was like, I'm the mayor of Rio de Janeiro. I'm your biggest fan, and I would love the experience of the refectorio in Rio de Janeiro during the Olympic. I already seen few spaces. If you're interested, it would be great. You know, I was like, fuck, this is unbelievable. So it's like 5 in the morning, and I said, why not? And my wife was on the side, and I said, are you texting at 5 in the morning? Who's there? The mayor of Rio de Janeiro.
Good excuse.
What does he want? He wants a refectorio in Brazil. And what did you answer? Why not? I said, you crazy. And you know, I said, okay, let's create a foundation and see what's going on. And I just decided to, you know, to create a foundation in which, you know, I could raise money and using my image, not my image as Osteria Francescana, but my image as, you know, a different, you know, different approach, and raise the money to open Rio de Janeiro. And, you know, with few phone calls, you know, I did. And in like 6 months, thanks to our partner in Rio, Gastromotiva, and journalists, very active journalist, Alexandra Forbes, we were able to create an amazing, of course, Vic Muniz, the artist, the JR, and the Metro Architectures, the Campanas brothers as a designer. We create an amazing space, even here in Lapa, in one of the, you know, difficult places in Rio de Janeiro. But the point is, Rio was created, back to your question, was created to, even as a school. Behind the kitchen, there's a school in which we teach the woman, problematic woman, you know, out of, you know, they have problem, they were in prison, they live in the favelas, you know, how to cook. And, you know, it's an amazing, you know, idea that David Earth had, and, you know, is creating between Rio, Sao Paulo, Mexico, you know, an army of, you know, these passionate people. They want to learn a job to just get out of poverty. And La Barbosa, the chef, she was one of them. And now she's like one of the most successful, she owns one of the most successful restaurants in Rio de Janeiro. So there's a hope, you know, hope for the future. And this is, and I think this is one of the key points of my project, you know.
So if we need a refectorio in Budapest, and we need one, then I should text you at 5 a.m.
We need the space.
Okay.
We need the authorities. You know, they're open to do something like that, because in Paris, for example, we had the mayor of Paris, Hidalgo, Madame Hidalgo, that, you know, together with the Archbishop of La Madeleine, they gave us the crypt of the church. So it's like, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. If you think about that, it's like just unbelievable. And, you know, we had JR, we had Prune, we had the artists behind us. But, you know, if you put together these people about, you know, art, it's my designer, it's my things. But, you know, we need a space and we need, you know, a charity foundation who's gonna take care of the everyday life. Because when I say that my project is a cultural project, it's because I'm in a focus on a cultural way, on a cultural mind, you know. So I'm gonna take care of the chefs, fly them to the space, show, you know, what we can do, art, design. Then, you know, we need to create, you know, and work on the space. But if you don't have someone who's running the everyday life and the space that is going to be part of this, you know, you cannot make it. So, but I'm totally open to do it, everywhere.
There is a somewhat different approach to food that runs Osteria Francescana, as I was lucky enough to get her experience myself. How do you want your guests to feel at your tables there? Or is it that different than eating at the refectorio?
No, I don't think so. I like, in Osteria, you come and you eat my mind. You know, it's not that you don't come in and eat good food, of course. But you don't wait 5 months, 1 year, 2 years before coming to the restaurant and just to eat good food, you know. You can go to the trattoria or to the special bistro and you can eat great food.
Or to Beppe.
Yeah, or to Beppe's, Beppe's Panino's place. But in Osteria, you know, you eat the experience, you eat emotions. When you eat, you know, you break the crunchy part of the lasagna, you know, you became out of the blue a kid. You know, I have seen Bob De Niro to do that. I've seen President Hollande and President Renzi at the summit together eating with their hands and, you know, making scarpetta with the food and became kids, you know. So that's the point, you know. It's like with my food, I try to touch the chord of the emotions. That's the aesthetic part and the ethic part together. They're not like my plate are not press conference, you know, but they give you little details. They open your mind to understand what you are doing in that moment, in that specific moment, you know. And that's what I want. And that's why you have so many, you know, every day lunch and dinner, you have people from all over the world. You know, they come and they fly just to stay there and experience that. There was like a couple from Chicago 10 days ago. She is the first singer at the opera in Chicago, and he is like a physician. And, you know, it's like they understood immediately that was not a food experience. That was much more. You know, they understood that, you know, the whole experience was about, you know, the opening, approach, where you are, eating the terroir, understand where, you know, what was the things, you know, then you pass through art, Glenn Ligon, Byrne, the old monochrome, black monochrome that is referring to Omaggio to Theolius Monk that he won Plate of the Year in 2010. But we take off the keynote of the chord on the side, you know, as Monk piano, and just create a monochrome of black that you eat as a joke to the Riviera Romagnola. It's very complicated things. But the guys at the service, they're extremely, extremely good on explaining very clear what the experience is, you know.
Unfortunately, our time is over, but just one last question. You started cooking 32 years ago, as far as I know.
Yeah.
The role of a chef has shifted tremendously since then. What will be the role of a chef in another 32 years, in 2050?
Yeah, I think I already answered, you know. This is the role of the chef. The role of the chef is much more than the sum of his recipes. Now we have this kind of exposure. That's why I say to the young generation, they have to really study more. They have to get deep into their interest. They have to travel, get exposed to the world. Because to create the future, you have to know everything and forget about everything. But first of all, you have to know everything. And to know everything, you have to travel, you have to study. It takes time. It's not that you are 25 and you're pushy to be up there. You're going to be washed away in 1 second. First storm, you're forget about, you know. And, but if you grow slow and you put your roots into the earth, you know, at the first storm, you're still there, like this. And, you know, its culture is this kind of things because you can explain what you do and make sense. For me, you know, and most of you I know, because they already told me behind there, you know, you saw Netflix and the whole story behind the Osteria Francescana. I love how David Gelb, the director, shoot the whole story, and you know, he shoot and he make sure everyone knows about the struggling behind, you know, Osteria Francescana for many, many, many years. You know, it's not that success comes like that. You know, takes time, especially when you really create avant-garde, a contemporary thing. Contemporary means, you know, create something that is the expression of the time that you are living, but is never understood in the moment you are creating. 5 different age Parmigiano in 5 different texture and temperature is a play that I created 25 years ago. And, you know, in the first 10 years, people, they were thinking that I was ruining the image of the cheese. And they were fighting against me. They were like you know, I still remember what I was reading the day after from the gastronomic critic. They were coming in Osteria. You know, I was serving 6 tortellini walking into the plate, you know, and the people are like, what the fuck is that? 6 tortellini! Don't go there. You know, it's waste of money, waste of time. You know, this guy is crazy, you know. So this is the big message behind the whole, you know, my history. And, you know, you have to have people to support and believe in what you are doing. But if you don't have the culture to explain to your team, to stimulate your team in a cultural way, think about that. David and Taka are with me since 14 years. And all the others, 10, 9, 7. No one wants to leave Osteria Francescana. And this is a big problem. And, you know, especially for the people who wants to stage. But the point is, like, it's like the cultural stimulation that you keep giving to them. It's extremely important because they recognize you as a leader and follow you to achieve all those ideas, you know. And I have crazy ideas all the time. So,
Grazie mille. Ladies and gentlemen, Massimo Bottura.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
It took me some time to see that I'm so lost.